In this video I'm going to look at creating the cells I need for a new feature definition in Subsurface Utilities Engineering. I'm going to start by creating a new design file to store the cells using a 2D seed. I'm going to create the first of the models I need. So the type is design. I want to create a 2D and give it an appropriate name. Click OK. So that's that model created. Now in this particular case I've got a SketchUp file that I'm going to use as a reference to get the planned cell the right sort of size. So I'm going to go to References and attach the SketchUp file that I want to use. Click OK. Okay, so there's the graphics. Now that could have come from a PDF or any sort of CAD design file. As I say, just using them as a reference to help me set up the graphics that I need. I'm going to go to my level manager. These levels have been loaded from a DGN library. I'm just going to scroll down the bottom because there's one that's already been set up for utility communications. So just double click that. You can see it's been set in the toolbar here. I'm just going to go and set the line color and the line style to bi-level. Okay, so now I can trace some graphics using this reference to get the positions right. So I'm going to start by going to the drawing task and use place block. Just going to zoom in here and use my snaps in the reference to locate the outer edge of my planned cell. Now this particular cover's got 3 cover units on it, so I'm just going to place 3 more blocks just to make my planned cell look a little more realistic. Like that. Now I'll go back to my references dialog and I can detach that SketchUp file. So that's the basic definition of my planned cell. I now need to place some extra graphics to help Subsurface Utilities locate and orient the cell correctly. And for that I need to use a particular line style. I need to use a line style 3 element. I'm going to change the color as well just to make it more obvious. And I also need to set the construction class, or the class of the element. I'm just going to right mouse click on the toolbar here, and as you can see, active element class is turned on, which means that I get this control here. Now I need to use the construction class for these elements. So construction class element, line style 3, and I've also set the line color to 3 for clarity. Now we need to place 2 elements. I'm going to start by placing a line. Now the line I want to start at coordinates of 0, 0. Now to make sure that I get those coordinates correct, I'm going to go to Utilities and key in and type x, y equals 0, 0. Press return. Now the length of the line is not important, so I'm just going to make it something like 2 meters long now. I'm just going to go to my view attributes and turn on line weights, because I need to place a second element now at a point to define the center of the node. I'm just going to set the line weight a bit thicker so that we can see what's happening. Go back to tasks, place a point, and I'm going to snap it to the end of the line that I just created. Okay, so if I right mouse click select it, we can see that we've got our point here, and we can see that it's at 0,0. Just going to set this back now. The final thing I want to do is move these graphics so that they are located about that center point. So I'm just going to select them all, right mouse button, move, and use my snaps to say I want to move from that center point to my new location point. And there we have our plan cell. Just going to check, I think that point got changed, so it needs to be line style 3. Construction class element. So just check and reset that. The next thing I need to do is create a 3D cell for the top of my proposed comms cabinet. So I'm going to go back to the models control and create a new model. So it's a design model again, this time around it's 3D. Give it a sensible name. Close the models dialog so we can see from the top of the view there that that's now the active model. So again, I'm going to reference in my SketchUp file and use that to help me draw the cell. So we'll open that, and there's the line work for that. Just set the symbology again. Okay, so because we're in a 3D model, we can now go to the rotate icon there and select an isometric view and see the reference in 3D. So I want to place a solid this time round for the top of my my comms cabinet. So I'm going to use the solid modeling tools to place slab solid. Zoom in here and use my snaps to locate the corner. As you can see, the cursor prompt's asking us to define the length, so I can snap there to define the length. Now AccuDraw is active, and I'm just going to use the T key on my keypad to rotate the compass into a top view. I can scroll across here and set the width, and then finally one more snap to locate the height. So now I can come back to my references and detach the SketchUp file. So there's the slab that's going to be the top of my chamber. Now I need to make sure that this top is again, just like the plan cell, in the right place. So what I'm going to do, there's more than one way to do this, but I'm going to just place a temporary line, and I'm going to snap to the two bottom corners like that. And then I'll select all of those elements, or those two elements, hold down the right mouse button and go move. Use my snaps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move from the midpoint of that line that I've just placed, and I want to move it to, go back to my keyings, X, Y, 0, 0, 0. Press return. That's now moved, so I can now right mouse click and go back to element selection. Just go back to a top view. So the final thing I need to do is add the graphics that Subsurface Utilities is going to need to locate and rotate this correctly. So again, it needs to be a line style 3 element. I'm just going to change the colour as well. So I'm going to go to the drawing task, place a line, and I'm going to snap to the midpoint of that line again, and just pick an arbitrary length there, like that. I'm just going to increase the line weight and place an active point just on the end of that line. Just check my view attributes, turn on line weights. Okay, let's just double check this. So construction class element, line start of 3. Select the point, yeah, construction class element, line start of 3. Back to my isometric view. Everything's looking okay there. I don't need this line anymore, so I can delete it. Whilst I'm here, I could select that solid and set a material for it, or perhaps metal, cast iron perhaps. If we just change the render style, we can see the material applied. Now to finish off, we need to place one more construction class element, this time with a line style of 5, and this will be to set the cover level. Again, I'm not exactly sure how high that slab is, so I'll just use a temporary line again. That. Place a point on the midpoint of that line. So yeah, that point will define the cover level of this 3D cell when it's placed. The final cell I need to create is for the bottom of our chamber. So again, we create a new model, type design, 3D again. Give it a sensible name. This time round I'm going to start with the construction elements that are needed. So place line, type in the coordinates that I need, and again make it maybe 2 meters long. Increase the line weight, make sure the line weights are turned on, and then place a point, snap to the end of the line. Just check these coordinates are correct. Construction class element, line style 3, and just double check the point. Yep, that's fine. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to bi-level symbology and primary class. Now I've already created the cell for the top, so I'm going to reference that cell in. Open that, and I want to reference in 3D top cell. Okay, that. Let's just go to an isometric view. Okay. The reason I've referenced this top cell in is so that I can use the points to define the bottom cell. So go to the tasks, back to solids modelling, and create a slab solid. So the top of the bottom cell needs to align with the bottom of the top cell. So define the length, T to rotate the compass to the top view, define the width, and then the bottom of the cell, the bottom of the box needs to be the minimum height that this bottom of the cell could be constructed as. I'm going to, AccuDraw is running down here, so I'm just going to type in a height of 0.5. Okay, so that will give me a total combined height of the top and bottom cells of about 0.55, something like that. So yeah, that's the height of the minimum height that that bottom cell needs to be. So I'll just click to place that. Now I can go back to my references and detach the top cell. Right, okay, so far we've got a solid block. I'm going to place another block inside that. So the slab solid command again. Now the AccuDraw toolbar's here, but it's greyed out. If I press F11, that will wake up AccuDraw. I just go to Workspace Function Keys. You can see here that F11's the AccuDraw toggle. So F11 to wake up AccuDraw. I'm going to hover over the corner and use the O key to set the origin. Now I want to be about 50 millimeters inside the outer solid, so I'm just typing in the values here. Click. So that's defined that origin. So the length, I'm going to come down to this corner, press the O key again, move the cursor in the direction that I want, 0.5, and in the other direction. So I'm now 50 millimeters in from that corner, and then the width. So again, hover over that corner, press the O key to set the origin, 0.05 in that direction, 0.05 in that direction, press return, and the height of the block I need to be slightly less than the previous block, so the previous block was 0.5, so we'll make this one 0.45. What I can do then is go back to my solids task and use the subtract tool. So from the outer edge I want to subtract the inner edge, click to accept. We now change the render mode to maybe illustration. We can see that we've now got a box with an open top. Just go back to wireframe. I need to place some more elements for subsurface utilities to rotate and locate this cell correctly. So we go back to construction class elements. I want to set the line weight to something heavy. This time I need a line star 5 element, and I'm going to locate a point which is going to be the invert level of the chamber. So come to tasks, drawing, place active point. Now I know that the depth of the top of my base slab is 0.45 meters down, so I can type xy equals 0, minus 0.45. So that's the invert level will be defined about that point. Just going to rotate this view slightly so I can see all the corners a bit more clearly. And what I need to do now is place some more construction class elements, this time using a line style of 6. I'll change the line colour again. Now these construction elements are going to be used to locate pipework and ducting and where it can join the node. So I'm going to place, we've got a rectangular node here, so I'm going to use place block to define locations along the 4 sides where my ducts and piping can connect. Depending on how this chamber is constructed, I might not want to compromise the integrity of the chamber by allowing ducting and piping to connect through the corners of the chamber. That might weaken the chamber. So with that in mind, I'm going to press F11 again to wake up AccuDraw, and I'm going to hover over the inside corner here and use the O key to set the origin. I'm now going to use the side key to rotate the compass around, and I'm going to move in maybe 0.1 of a metre, something like that. Locate that. So that's one corner of this block, and then I'm going to move up to the other internal corner, press the O key again, and again maybe move back 0.1 and click to locate. So there's that new element. Just going to rotate the view around again so I can see these corners more clearly. If I wanted the ducting or piping to protrude inside the chamber slightly, what I could do is select the connection region and move it from there, rotate the compass around and maybe move it perhaps 100 mm inside the face. Like that. Just change into a top view, and we can see that the offset, how the offsets have been applied there. Have a look in the front view, and right hand view. Yeah, that looks okay. So we'll go back to isometric. Place another block on the other side. So F11 to wake up AccuDraw, O for the origin, $100 million from the edge. S to rotate the compass. Oh, should set the O for the origin down there, and again 0.1 in. And then move that in. Perhaps 100 mm. Now I can place my two final connection regions very easily just by rotate the compass around and using some snaps. Like that. So we'll just change the render mode briefly. I'm going to use the Alt key and the mouse wheel to put us into rotate mode. So we can just pan around, check that everything looks okay, which it does. Just go to my view attributes. If I just turn off construction elements, we can see that our red line, our red point and our line star 5 point have disappeared. So just a quick way to check that those construction elements are set up correctly. One final thing I might want to do is just pick that box and set a material. Maybe a grey plastic in this particular case. So let's just review what we've got here. So we've got 3 models, one for the plan symbology, 2 for the 3D top and a bottom, and we've added these graphics for subsurface utilities to locate and orient the 3 cells correctly. So we've got the line style 3 construction class line and point for the orientation and the location. We've got the line style 5 construction class point for the top of the cover level of the 3D top cell and for the invert level of the 3D bottom cell, and then we've got the line star 6 construction class elements for the connection regions. So that's all the cells I need created. Now, by convention, cells are stored, a cell library file is stored with an extension of .cell, so I can use File, Save As. So far we've been working in a DGN, and I can just change that file extension to .cell. Now I need to think about where I'm going to locate that file. Because Subsurface Utilities uses the Bentley Civil workspace, if I put the cell file in the Bentley Civil cell folder, it will be loaded automatically. In this case I'm running MX, so I'm going to select the MX folder there. Okay, so that's the location where I'm going to save this cell file. So if we're running inroads, we'd select the inroads folder there, or Geopack or Power Civil as appropriate. But it's under Bentley Civil, either metric or imperial, and the cell folder below that. If you store your cell file in there, it will automatically be loaded by the Bentley Civil workspace. So that's now saved.